Now, unfortunately, I did damage the starfish mould. That was my fault entirely. For some reason, I decided to clean it out. And in doing so, I ruined the shiny effect. Just in a couple of places, but it's bad enough. So don't do that. Don't stick a baby wipe in it and try and clean it, because it doesn't do it any good. Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts, and I hope you're doing okay. Recently, Resin sent me some moulds. Now, as they described it, it was a mystery pack. They've sent quite a few, just mystery moulds from their website. And I had no idea what I was getting, and they had no idea what they were sending. So when I opened it, I was like, still can't see, because the labels are covering up what they are. So you're seeing this the first time I'm seeing these in front of the camera. So when I figure out what to do with them, I'm going to take inspiration from one of Daniel Cooper's videos. He's done a video recently that I'll link his channel in the description box below, because he's an amazing artist. But he doubled up on colours, and that really hit home with me, and I've decided to double up on the colours. You'll see what I mean during the video. But yeah, I don't know why I didn't do that before. Thanks, Daniel. So this resin was left over from another project I was working on, and it was getting warm, and I thought that was ideal for what I wanted to do. These are the moulds from Resin. Now, as I said before, I had no clue what they were. Not a clue, because the stickers are all over them. I couldn't see what they were, so it was a real surprise. I do have a rather nice 15% off discount code for Resin, and that will be in the description box below the video, together with an affiliate link for Resin and every other bit of information to do with this video too. And I'm checking the temperature of the resin, and at the moment it stands at 34 degrees. As I said, this was left over from another project, so I'm glad it's warming up. I really need warm resin for this technique. I'm going to fill up the starfish mould to about 3/4 full of this warm resin. Put a little bit in a mixing cup and mix in some colour. Now I'm going to use dark matter, which is one of Emma's colours. It's a beautiful colour, ethereal colour, which is like a ghost pigment. It changes depending on the light behind it. It's a really gorgeous bluey purple. And I'm just going to drizzle this colour into the starfish, which is the clear mould. This is Let's Resin, by the way. I'd already mixed it before I started filming, so I didn't show you the bottle. But as it's warm, the two colours shouldn't merge together too much. Now, the second mould that I have is a crystal mould, and I'm eager to find out what this one looks like, because crystal moulds are one of my favourite things. Again, I'm filling it up 3/4 full with the clear resin. I do feel that you can do a lot with a crystal mould, and the more crystal moulds you have, the better, in my opinion. You can never have enough. And I'm making sure I get rid of any bubbles from the tips. These are not going in my pressure pot, they're just going to be sitting on the side. Topping it up just a little bit with some more clear resin. Now, in hindsight, I could have done with putting more clear resin in this, but you can always say things in hindsight, can't you? So I'm using a little bit of this dark matter mix, and I'm just dripping it into each of the pointed areas. Now, I don't think I had enough really, so I do actually go on to make a little bit more, because I want this colour to be quite prominent in these points. At the same time, I still need a little bit of room at the top of the mould, because I'm going to do something else. So I'm topping the starfish up just a little bit with some more clear. I want there to be a little bit of room left, but I don't want there to be too much. With the crystal points, I think I left too much room. It's definitely a just so moment, isn't it? It just has to be just so. Now this is where I go in with a micro brush just to push some of that colour down into the points. I don't think it's moving enough for me. I think the starfish would be okay because it's a shallower mould. But with the crystal type moulds, it's quite deep and I wanted that colour to go down into those points. So I'm just making up a little bit more of the dark matter blue just to try and get a little bit more in those points. And I'm just going to drop it into those pointed areas, just a touch. You can see there's not very much there at all. And as this resin is really warm, it is not going to merge together too much. Should stay quite separate. Trying to get little bits of the colour into the points of the starfish. And when I'm happy, I'm going to leave them to cure. Now I'm only going to leave them to cure for about 6 hours. I want them to be sticky. But this is what they look like up close. That dark matter is a stunning colour. It really is bright and gorgeous. And this one is Aurora, another ghost pigment, and this one's a type of blue-green. So this is 6 hours after I poured this resin. It is firm enough for me to be able to put something on top with a paintbrush, but it is still very, very sticky. And I'm covering the top with this Aurora colour. With the crystal points, I'm using Starlight. Now Starlight is quite an orangey gold, and I figured that would complement the dark matter quite a lot. I wanted to get opposing colours really, something completely different on each one. See, this is the inspiration I got from Daniel Cooper. By putting a different colour behind the one that you've pushed into the resin. Does that make sense? I don't do blooms very often, and I saw Daniel's recent bloom video where he put the powder behind the bloom and it just shone through beautifully. And I figured, why haven't I thought of that before? I quite often dust moulds. I quite often put colour on like this when I'm putting in inlays. Why didn't I think about two colours? I don't know. But thank you, Daniel, for that. That just popped into my brain and I could not get it out without doing it. So once I've coloured both of these pieces for the second time, then I'm going to colour them in black behind to push that ethereal colour through, because ethereal colours are beautiful. Black or white, they are stunning. And for me, I like bright colours, so I go for the black behind. I do apologise about the wobbly focus here. I think my camera was trying to focus on my hand, which was out of shot, so please forgive me. Now, I'd made up some 2-part epoxy resin in black. I'd used the black Vista pigment to give me a really jet black colour, but I'd only made a tiny amount. And it was enough for the starfish. It really wasn't enough for the crystal mould as well. But I couldn't make any more because I would have needed micro mils. It was such a small amount. I figured that'll do, that'll do. So the following day I could demould and see what I've got. And oh my goodness, I couldn't believe what I was looking at. It was mesmerising. Absolutely. Even now, a couple of weeks later, I'm still picking it up to look at it. I cannot believe how beautiful those two colours complemented each other. With the duskiness of the dark matter inside and the aurora behind, it's just stunning. To me, it felt like it had its own light inside. It was just beautiful. And the crystals. Now, the crystals were not as appealing for me, because I hadn't put enough clear resin in the points. There was quite a lot of base that was coloured, and that to me was disappointing, but the overall appearance of the crystal tips were gorgeous. The colours really complemented each other, and that starlight is a stunning gold when it's got black behind it. It really is. Now, because there wasn't much resin at the top, these points could quite easily be separated. There isn't much holding them together. And maybe you could just make individual points with that mould. Perhaps that's what it's for. Now, you may have noticed there was another mould in the pack that I was sent from InterResin. And I kind of gathered what that one was before I took it out of the plastic. As far as I could make out, it's a poop mould with a little face on it. I'm guessing that's more like the emoji mould than anything else. So So although it's not my kind of mould, I figured I should make it. So I made some more Let's Resin and I let it heat up. I left it for about 25 minutes to heat up to about 33, 34 degrees. I did exactly the same. I poured the clear into the rather deep mould and I needed a colour to put in it. So I figured that I would try out Blood Magic. It's like a dark brown red. So it has red tendencies to it, but it's a brown colour. It's not my favourite, I've got to be honest, but it has its place. Any colour in this poop mould would have probably been better than brown, to be honest. Really wasn't something I wanted to do or even think about, to be honest. But I figured I'd do it. I'd use the Black Magic, and you never know, I might actually like this when it turns out. But we'd have to wait and see for that one. Now, I did wait, like I said, quite a while for this resin to heat up. I didn't really know how much I wanted to put in here, so as I'd made a fair bit, I figured I'd dump it all in now. And I also didn't know what sort of colour this would turn out to be. And then once I'd poured it in, it was just a circle sitting in there, and I thought, this isn't any good really, is it? It's just a circle inside. It's just a floater. What am I going to do? So I decided to push it down into the mould a few times with a silicone tool. Those silicone tools are really good, by the way. I bought them at Timo. They're really cheap and they are brilliant. I got my face cringing while I'm talking about this because it really isn't my sort of thing. But it was sent to me, so I thought I'd better make it, you know. Anyway, I wasn't happy with the way it was going, so I poured some more clear resin on top. I didn't want to take it to the top, obviously, because I wanted to put another colour behind it, but it didn't give itself any room. It was just one colour in the centre of the mould. Quite frankly, I don't think my heart was in it at all with this mould. But as I enjoyed the outcome of the other two pieces so much, I just wanted to make them again with different colours, just because I was in love with the starfish. Now, unfortunately, I did damage the starfish mould. That was my fault entirely. For some reason, I decided to clean it out, and in doing so, I ruined the shiny effect. Just in a couple of places, but it's bad enough. So don't do that. Don't stick a baby wipe in it and try and clean it, because it doesn't do it any good. These are handmade moulds and they are extremely delicate. They do come with care guides, and yeah, I didn't listen to that this time for some reason. Anyway, I'm using Chaos, which is a gorgeous purple colour from Emma. If you didn't know, I do sell Emma's colours on Toonpish.com, so go check out their amazing colours. They're not at the cheap end of the scale though, they are expensive, but you need very little when you're using them, and we're talking very little. So although they're expensive, they are really, really high quality. So on the back of this starfish, I'm using dark matter, and on the crystal points, I'm using Eclipse. Eclipse is a gorgeous ethereal powder, again beautifully pigmented. And on the back of the poop mould, I'm using Starlight. Now, I have no clue whether that's going to be seen at all, because the Blood Magic has taken over. I top them all up with black epoxy resin and I leave them to cure. And the following day, I can see what we've got. Now, I do like the colour that's popped up through that powder, that black powder. That Eclipse is gorgeous. Once I've got the piece out, you can see that that Eclipse is a stunning, really vibrant blue. And with the purple that's in the points, it shimmers through, gorgeous. I do love this dual colour. Dual colour is definitely the way to go for me for now on. For a while, I'm hooked, I really am. And the starfish, again, is absolutely stunning. That dark matter is so bright, dark blue. How can you describe that? With the purple from the Chaos, oh, it's gorgeous. It's only a shame that I have messed up the mould. You can see little patches that are not shiny anymore. Hopefully I can fix that, I don't know. And as for the poop, well, I wasn't thinking this is going to come out much, to be honest with you, and I didn't want to make it again, and you can only just see a glimmer of starlight gold through that blood magic. Although it's definitely got a pinky orange tint to it, it has not done me any favours, that mould. I didn't have my heart in it, did I really? Oh well. These starfish came out beautifully. How can I say this without repeating myself so many times with the same words? I need one of those thesauruses things that Claire's got. The moulds are gorgeous. Interresin moulds are stunning moulds. They are so shiny and so glass-like. I am a sucker for really bright colours, and I think these moulds just scream vibrant bright colours. As for the poop mould, I did colour his mouth and his eyes in, just to give him a little bit of personality. But he really wasn't for me. I'm sure some people will like him though. This double colour technique has given me so many ideas for moulds. I'm absolutely in love with the fact that they look as if they've got their own light source. That's the weird thing. They look as if they've got their own light source within the items themselves. It's very bizarre and so bright and colourful. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I hope you've got something out of it. Come back and see me next week, because you never know what I'm going to be up to. I never know what I'm going to be up to. Have a great week. Happy crafting, and bye for now.